everyone. So as a continuation to my last video, like I need to add up one more point. So this is the part 2 of that video. So part 2 of Servlet. So what I wanted to say was, as you can see, there is this inside this servlet, right? So I have written this singleton. So like I said, for each, so whenever a request comes for the first time, okay, this web server creates a new servlet object, okay, and then when this when one more request comes with different when a new request comes with different variables, this same object is used. So new object is not created again for each of the requests, so this same object is reused, and then this same object is used for all other operations. So this is a singleton. So that's why this singleton word is written over here, since only the one object is used. So if you want, you can check out my singleton video. It's there in my playlist, Java playlist. So yeah, so that's why the singleton is there. So only for this first request, the constructor gets fired because the object has to be created, and then after that the constructor won't be used. So let's test that one. So as you can see over here, there is this one constructor over here, okay. So like I said, only for the first request, okay, only for the first request this constructor should get fired and this println statement should get printed. So subsequent, for the subsequent request, there should be no, this println statement should not be there. So let's test that out. Let me run this one, run data. Okay. So I need that URL, web.xml. I'll just copy paste this one. Okay, so perfect. Okay, so now I'll make so now I'll, as soon as this page refreshes, that I'll make that request. So one second, I'll just close this one. Okay, I executed that command by mistake. I'll just rerun that application. So I'll go to my data project. Okay, so this is, I will just run this one. Okay, so my server is now running. I'll just make this call. Okay, so I made this first request. Okay, so it is showing the date. So let's check the log. So as you can see, date servlet constructor got executed, so that's why you see that println statement, and then the doGet method gets called because we have sent that request. So now let's send one more request. So it is, we just have to refresh. So when we refresh, the present date and one more code should get printed. So let's do that one. Okay, so now see, so now we called it twice, so that constructor didn't get fired because that object is already there. So only the doGet method got executed. So let's do it few more times. Yeah, so as you can see guys, the constructor is created only once. Okay, so the rest of the time it is reused. So that singleton word was there, I had written that singleton word. Okay, so this one you got it right. So yeah, so now the main thing why we are here is, I said in the previous video that whatever operation we want, we should add it to this service method, right? So once we add it to this service method, it will do the operation and send back. But look what we are doing, we are we are not adding in this service method, we are adding it in a separate method called doGet method. So why we are doing all this? So why did we not add it in the service method but why in the doGet method? So in order to check that, we are over here. So in this video we'll be covering that part. So before we get there, so let's observe this servlet. Okay, so like I said, this is servlet definition is this one. There's this server side managed objects. Okay, so but when you look at the Java servlet is actually an interface. So in Java, interface is like a concept. So this servlet has these methods. Okay, it has initialization, it has service, it has destroy, it has all these get servlet logs and all. So these three methods, okay, these three methods which you see here, these are called that servlet lifecycle methods. Okay, so these are important, just keep that in mind. These are called servlet lifecycle methods. Okay, so this is the servlet interface. So next this servlet interface, so next there is a class called GenericServlet class. So this GenericServlet class implements this servlet interface. Okay, it implements this GenericServlet class, implements this servlet interface. Okay, so once we implement an interface, we need to give implementation to all of them, right? So we have given implementation to init, destroy and all other methods, but it is marked as abstract class. This class is marked as abstract class because service method is not given an implementation over here. So since service method is not given an implementation over here, this class has to be marked as abstract. So service method is not given an implementation over here. So now this GenericServlet, okay, this GenericServlet class is there. So next, something called HttpServlet extends this GenericServlet. So HttpServlet is the child, GenericServlet is the method, and this one has all the methods like do, get, to, post, all the 7 HTTP methods. Okay, and here is the service method implementation. So this, whatever the service method is here, we are implementing it over here. Okay, so what it has is, there's an if condition. So in the URI we have an if condition right over here. We have this URI is there right over here. So whatever this, whether it is post, get and all, it is contained over here, right? So depending on that one, if it is a post, do post will get executed in this service method, and depending on whether it is do get method will get executed. So it is just like normal if condition. So if do post gets picked up, do get gets picked up. So yeah, so this is the service method. Okay, so after this, okay, now what we designed that time, that date servlet app, this is our what we designed. So this date servlet app extends HttpServlet. Okay, so this one is the child of HttpServlet. Okay, so this class is not abstract because we don't need to, it should be abstract because it has like it doesn't, because we are implementing, all classes are being implemented over here, right? So only one service method was not there, it got implemented over here. Okay, so this one is a child of HttpServlet, and here we give our own doGet implementation, what we have done over here. So we have given our own doGet implementation. Okay, so what essentially we are doing is doGet is overridden. So this doGet, so all these methods are all empty methods. Okay, initialization, destroy, init destroy, and init service, init and destroy are this one empty methods. Okay, so these are all empty methods. Here also doGet, do post are all empty methods. So that one we are overriding. So we gave our own implementation. Okay, so we here we gave our own implementation. So doGet is, so this doGet is overriding this doGet. So now whenever the service method is getting executed, right? Whenever the service method is getting executed, this, and it is a get request, so this doGet gets called. Okay, then after that one, this doGet method gets called and our method runs. So over here you might have one question, right? Hey, if we call, this is the parent, so how parent method is picking up child method? How if we execute this doGet should get executed, right? Why this doGet is getting executed? How child it is picking? So like for example, so just look at this one. So for now this nor method is not there. Okay, and scratch this off. Okay, so if so for example, think that there is animal. Okay, animal class, it has sleep method. Okay, so sleep method, something is happening. Okay, so now there is this bear extends animal. So bear is the child, animal is the parent, and bear has something called snore method. Okay, so how do you make the snore method of bear get executed? Okay, leave that one. So bear has this one snore method, right? So if you execute, so animal class has only access to sleep method. Okay, animal has only access to sleep method. Okay, but since bear extends animal, it will inherit animal characteristics, so it will get sleep method and snore method also. But animal will have only sleep method. Okay, so how if I call this one, okay, animal dot sleep, okay, so and this snore method gets executed. Okay, I'm saying that snore method of this one gets executed. Same thing is happening over here. So this is the parent class like animal. Okay, doGet is getting executed over here. Okay, so this one is getting picked up. Like how can that happen? So only if there is one snore and one more snore animal, like one more snore method like this one. So what is happening over here? If we create this animal is equal to new bear. Okay, so animal, if we do like this, animal can essentially pick up. So if we do animal dot sleep, it will pick up the snore method. How? So it just like that. It is simple. So animal is equal to new bear. Okay, we do. So and then next we call animal dot sleep. Now this animal has snore method. Okay, so now animal dot sleep will get executed. Okay, so snore, it will do something and then it will come to snore method. Now snore method should get picked up, but when but in object body to object linking happens at runtime in Java, right? So during runtime it is pointing to bear object, so it is pointing to a bear object, right? So snore it will call, but which snore to pick up? So since it is pointing to bear and this snore is getting, so animal snore is getting overridden by this bear method, so bear snore method will get executed. That's why DateServlet's doGet method gets executed equivalently. So over here what we are doing, we are doing HttpServlet equal to new DateServlet, right? So then we are calling HttpServlet dot sleep. So once, so it will, so same thing, control flow will come up here, then it will call doGet. So doGet is an instance method. So object body to linking happens at runtime. It is pointing to DateServlet. So our DateServlet class doGet method gets executed. Okay, so it is http dot service. Okay, not sleep, sorry, it is httpServlet dot service. httpServlet dot service. Okay, so likewise, how this, when we call sleep method, bear snore method is getting executed because we have overridden this snore method. Okay, and object to body happens at object linking to body happens at runtime, and it is pointing to bear object, so it is pointing to bear, so bear snore method gets executed. Same here, DateServlets, since it is pointing to DateServlet's doGet method gets picked up. So that's why we need to override the doGet method. This is that's how the structure has been designed, guys. So we need to override the doGet method. So likewise, if we wanted to execute a do post method, so we should override do post method in date servlet. So we have done for do get, so I'm just written for do get. So I hope this answered your question, guys, as to why all this extends HTTP servlet and all is there, and why this do get is here. So yeah, so that's why we use do get. Okay, so now let's look at the life cycle of servlet. So what happens at each, so look, it is a very important question, so you will get asked what is the life cycle of servlet. So before that, let's take a look at this project structure. So this is our data. Okay, so this is like our Java classes are here, our build files are here. Next, over here we have web content. Inside web content we have something called web INF. Inside that all our Java files are there. So inside web INF we have one more thing called web.xml that we did the connection, right? So that's what is over here. And then we have this web content. So over here all the static resources will get placed over here, like our HTTP file, HTML files, or CSS, or whatever, that PNG or JPG pics, whatever we have to place it over here. So but for the Tom, this is our project structure. Okay, so for our Tomcat to understand, for our server, that is our web server to understand, it has to be placed like this. So this is web INF. So inside that all the jar classes and all the .src files are there. So here web.xml, and here is whatever that static resources should get placed over here. Okay, so this conversion we don't need to worry, because our IDE takes care of this conversion. So it converts the project structure to this one, so that the web server can find the required files correctly and execute. So you might have one question. Okay, so suppose we have this web.xml. Okay, so can we do like how we are executing this datab/datab/src? Can we do something like datab/webinf.web.xml? If we do datab/web.xml/webinf/web.xml, do we get that web.xml over here? Will web.xml get picked up and shown over here? Like if we give the datab/datab/webinf/web.xml, will that show up over here? You might have a question. So the answer is no. Why? Because this date app has this webinf, right? So all the resources which you place over here are all protected. So that's why I have written this line. So all these things over here are protected. So if you do datab/webinf/web.xml, you will get one 404, because it won't get picked up, since all these are protected. So now let's look at this life cycle of servlets. So first, when you load the servlet class, okay, the class loading happens. So when class loading happens, it will search for that date servlet class inside our web-inf. Okay, it will search for that class inside web-inf. It will and then it will load the class from the hard disk to the memory of the JVM. Okay, so it will load that and it will keep there so that the JVM can use that class. Okay, so this is the first step. So it loading the date servlet class, loading the servlet class. So date servlet class in our case. And then what happens? Instantiation happens. So instantiation is nothing but this initialization. Oh, okay, instantiation, right? So like I said, instantiation, that constructor should get fired, because once we have the class, we need to fire up the constructor, right? For the object to be created, like I showed in the beginning. So that instantiation happens, so it's nothing but the constructor will get fired. And then this next one, initialization happens. Okay, initialization is nothing but this init method gets called. Okay, so this GenericServlet initialization method gets called. So it is nothing but an empty method. So if we want to initialize something, we can give it over here. So and then after initialization, this service method gets called in a new thread of execution. So this, whatever this service method is over here, it will get called in a new thread of execution. So all that is managed by the web server. So if we make separate, so if we make many calls to this, if we make many requests to this one, so each of those methods are running a new thread of execution. So so if you make 3 requests, the first request won't, the second request won't wait for the first request. Like it will execute on its own. Like it doesn't, it happens asynchronously. So that's why the service method is called in each of the service methods called in a new thread of execution. Okay. So after this one, so the destroy method gets called. So when the web server shuts down, the destroy method gets called. So destroy method, as you know, it is also an empty method. So you need to give an implementation, whatever implementation you want, you can give over there. So yeah. So this is about the destroy method. We'll see what implementation to give there in the next videos. I'll make that. So and then that's it. So after that, if the web server shuts down, the destroy methods gets executed, and that's it. So this is the lifecycle of servlet. So this is a very important question. Okay, so and then one more question you might have here is, why do we have a separate method for initialization? So why can't we initialize whatever we want in our constructor itself? Like we can do the initialization over there itself, right, inside our date servlet constructor. Why do we need a separate method for initialization? So we need a separate method for initialization because of best practice. So like it's not good practice to do it's not good practice to do initializations inside the constructor. So that's why the separate initialization method is used for us. So we can do whatever we want inside that method. So yeah, that's it, guys. So hope you have understood whatever I was saying. So yeah, thank you for watching. Bye.